need to change the narrative out there, because often when you look at safety campaigns nowadays, the education is very much aimed at the motorcyclist, but that doesn't equate to the 70% of cases I'm dealing with where we really need to educate the motorist.
Maybe we should take another look.
That makes sense.
I'm talking today to Brenda Mitchell from Motorcycle Law Scotland. Motorcycle Law Scotland are a MAG corporate member, and we are supporting one of the campaigns that they're running called Take Another Look. So Brenda, do you want to just first of all introduce yourself, explain who you are, and possibly give us a bit of a background as to how Motorcycle Law ended up running a road safety campaign?
Okay, so clearly my name is Brenda Mitchell. I'm the senior partner with Motorcycle Law Scotland. Motorcycle Law Scotland was founded around 13 years ago. I've been a civil litigator now for 35 years. We say that very quietly. Always been a passionate motorcyclist and really wanted to make a difference. I've worked in some of the big PI firms in Scotland, but as I say, 13 years ago, I had this idea that I wanted to concentrate very much on my beloved motorcycle community and set up a firm for them and for their needs and requirements. So as I say, for the last 13 years, the firm has looked after motorcyclists who've been involved in accidents and have sustained injury through no fault of their own. And it was whilst, being immersed in all of that I realised that ultimately motorcyclists are vulnerable to very serious injury. Equally, motorcyclists take their safety on the road seriously. And I was acutely aware that more and more accidents were happening at junctions, and I felt we really need to do something about that.
Yes, I suppose obviously as a legal practice dealing with many motorcycle accidents, you do get an inside view as to what really happens. You're taking a very detailed look at the specifics, so that must put you in a good position to understand what the problems really are in terms of the numbers of casualties and why they're occurring.
Very much so. And when I look at the profile of my cases at the present time, 70% of the cases that I deal with involve what is often known as junction infringement, but in truth it's drivers looking but not seeing a motorcyclist. And for that reason, I really felt that we need to change the narrative out there, because often when you look at safety campaigns nowadays, they're aimed very much at the motorcyclist, that the motorcyclist has to watch their speed, take part in rider refinement courses. And even in the north of Scotland, they've painted, lines on the road to encourage motorcyclists to take the right line into a left-hand bend, a right-hand bend. So as you see, the education is very much aimed at the motorcyclist, but that doesn't equate to the 70% of cases I'm dealing with where we really need to educate the motorist.
Yes, I do think this does seem to be quite a common theme when it comes to road safety. For motorcycling, it is very much a case of the way that we're going to increase motorcycle safety is to get motorcyclists to be better motorcyclists. And there's no denying that, yes, being a better motorcyclist will keep you safe, and you should do everything you can to increase the level of training that you've got, hazard perception, all these things, they are all valid. But it is only half the story. And like I say, it takes two to tango. And in a collision between a car and a motorcycle, there's just as much chance that it's the driver's fault as it is the motorcyclist's fault.
Well, yes, and this is exactly my point, that the safety campaigns are very much, one side. If we can look back to the fantastic campaign, Think Once, Think Twice, Think Bike in the 1970s, really, really powerful. I mean, I was very young at the time, of course, But I remember, watching it, and you could hear that noise. You never saw the actual impact. Take a look at Northern Ireland. If you've ever looked at their safety campaigns, aimed at drivers to look after motorcyclists, it's shocking. Australia's the same. And yet in this country we go softly, softly, and again it's aimed at, would the motorcyclists please do more to protect themselves? Commendable, yes. And I've done my advanced riding. Many motorcyclists do take their safety very seriously. But unless we change the narrative of this, we're not going to make any significant impact on what are appalling figures. So in Scotland alone, 2022, 467 motorcycle casualties, and that included 25 fatalities. Motorcyclists are overrepresented when it comes to fatal or serious injuries. And if, as I say, the Scottish Government has this target of reducing motorcycle casualties by 30% by 2030, well, we must now change the narrative and look at a really strong safety campaign, Take Another Look, because we are there to be seen, but drivers, just take another look.
What is it specifically that you're asking people to do as part of the campaign?
The campaign was started, it was an idea. I was always, looking at the Northern Ireland campaigns, to think once, think twice. Then I always felt the public perception out there, because the safety campaigns are aimed at motorcyclists, that was building a public perception that the very act of motorcycling itself was dangerous, which it's not. And it was a very tragic. This campaign is spearheaded by 3 bereaved widows. One of them, Tracy Marsh, I was acting for her at the time, and she'd lost her husband. A driver pulled out in front of him. John was a massively experienced motorcyclist. When you're on the phone to people, I visit people at the worst possible time of their lives. In a split second, their lives have been changed upside down. Tracy had lost her husband, and to be honest, there was days when Tracy just did not want to get out of bed. She did not want to live. And it was that awful feeling, when you wake up and you think, and then suddenly you feel it. You feel that pain, you feel that loss. And in my discussions with Tracy, when she was at absolute rock bottom, I said, well, let's try and refocus some of this grief, some of this terrible loss, and maybe do something that might just make a difference. And so that's how it actually started. And Tracy got on board with this and has done some marvellous work, with the other bereaved widows to get the campaign up and running. And as I say, it's called Take Another Look. We've got huge support, and a particular thank you to Sam Hewen, who has been a big supporter of this campaign. And as you say, what we want people to do, certainly for drivers, is to take another look. But there's a petition, so we'd like people to go on to sign the petition, get in touch with your MP, MSP, and really just get behind this so that we can have a change of narrative and start to really look after the motorcycle community on the road. Let's make a difference. Let's drive down these casualty figures. And if we can do that, I think, that would be very, very worthwhile.
Yes, I mean, certainly from my perspective, I know MAG as an organisation has tried running safety campaigns that are similar in nature in terms of changing the attitudes of other road users towards motorcyclists. The difficulty, of course, that we have is that our audience is motorcyclists, so it's very difficult to reach beyond that audience for us. So I think that's why it's important to get somebody like the Scottish Government to be running this sort of campaign, because that then has the broader reach to people who are not motorcyclists, and that is who we really need to be communicating this message to. So I think that's an important part of it. If you're writing to your MSP or you're signing the petition, it is about broadening that message to the wider audience, not just keeping it to ourselves as motorcyclists. We know that this makes sense, but we've got to get that message out to the people who do not ride motorcycles.
Well, most certainly. And, as I say, I'm a motorcyclist. I'm a driver sometimes when I use the roads. I'm also a cyclist when I use the roads. And all of us, will choose a different mode of transport, sometimes dependent on the weather. That's me. I'm a fair weather motorcyclist. And again, it's really important because when you think about it, all of us, when we use the road, we just want to get from A to B safely. And I think it's all about sharing that road space and looking after one another. And that's the whole point, is the responsibility on all of us, despite our mode of transport, is to take responsibility both for ourselves but also for the safety of others. That's really important. We're all just trying to get by.
Yeah, that's excellent. Like I say, a shared message, and it's easy to see why we are so supportive of this campaign. So if anybody's looking for more information and detail on the campaign, where should they go? Is there a website?
Most definitely, if you go to the website, it's www.takeanotherlook.co.uk. And as I say, you can sign the petition as well. We'd like as many people as possible to get out to sign that petition, allow us to change the narrative, and to try and improve the safety of motorcyclists on the road by engaging the whole community. Anybody who uses that road really needs to get behind this as well.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you for your time this morning, and hopefully we'll speak again in future.
Thank you.